Who is the middle class here in Brazil? Let's talk a little bit about it because when people come here, when the foreign come here, he see a lot of poverty here in Brazil, whatever. But does we have a middle class? Let's see what the last news I took here from the g1global.com. Okay, that's a traditional news site here. And he says that to be middle class here in Brazil, you have to earn between 600 reais per month and 3.7 thousand reais per month per person. Okay, it means a value between $100 per month and $500 per month. You are middle class in Brazil per person. Okay, I have enough to say about it because if we think about the costs in Brazil, if you watch other videos here in my channel, I commented about the cost of things here, and the only thing in many cities is a lot more cheap than rich countries is the rent, and all other things are expensiver than rich countries. Let me give you some examples. Cars are a lot expensive than rich countries. Okay, a lot expensive, even if you convert to dollars. iPhones, things like this, electronics, okay, a lot more expensive because we have high taxes in consuming and in imports. Okay, because this will never change. I've gave up of this. This will never change in Brazil. There is this mentality of we have to protect our products and let's tax the imports. But even to produce things in Brazil, you have to import things. So this is absolutely crazy. But unfortunately, we have this thinking here, and it's in the culture. It does not have a way out of this. Okay, we have no way. Okay, I simply gave up. Okay, it's always been like this mentality, like this, and it's cultural. It's very hard to change it. Okay, but whatever. What happens in the middle class generally, how they live, how they survive. Now I'm gonna comment a little bit about it, okay? So middle class here, when people that I know that are middle class in the majority of times here in Brazil, they come from a middle class family, okay? And the middle class in the old times here in Brazil were not rich, but were a lot better than today, because Brazil is like this, have always been poor forever, okay, and has been going down and down the past decades, okay, down and down and down, and doing like this, going down forever. And the middle class sons, okay, of today, in that time, their parents have the conditions to buy at least a home and a small car, okay? Working a lot of times, only one person in the home, or two persons, okay? But whatever, you can understand. To have the basic that a minimum wage worker in USA can buy easily, okay? Today. So the middle class young people of today are the sons of this old generation, and for you to have these kind of things today, a home and a car and the minimum of a way of surviving, you have two persons in the home have to work, okay, and many times you cannot have a decent life. So people stay with their parents forever, okay, And there are some ways of going out of this in Brazil, okay? The first way that many people choose from the middle class is study to work to be a public servant, okay? Because working for the state, we have a lot of incentives, okay? I have some examples of incentives. One very important is that you cannot be fired, okay? So you work like in that job forever and cannot be fired. That is the stability we have here. And that's the dream. And the next advantage of being a public servant is the public servant earns about 3 or 3 times more than a private worker. Okay, and it's not much if you say in dollars. Let me say that a public servant, the median wage of a public servant is like 5 to 6K reais per month. It will be about $1,000 per month, okay? $1,000 per month, that's ridiculous, okay? So, in old times, 5K reais was a money that you could buy something. You can afford a home mortgage, a decent car, okay? But today 5,000 reais you cannot barely survive. So that's my point. When you have this middle class paradox, they want to have the life their parents have, but even working for the government it's difficult. But many people just stay with their parents. They cannot make up a living, and studying to be a public servant, we have armies of people just staying in their parents' house forever and not working, not generating jobs, not doing the economy flow, okay? Just studying to be an expense to the private sector, okay? Because at the moment you became a public servant, you become an expense for the nation, for the the private sector. That's the truth. Okay, of course, many sectors, it's important to have public servants, okay? Of course, the society cannot work without the state. I don't believe, I'm not an anarcho-capitalist, but I recognize that 99% of the public servants are unnecessary, in my opinion, okay? Because the private, okay, but it's another video. The private sector, in my opinion, can provide much better service, okay? But it's a topic for another video. Let's return here for the focus of the video. Okay, so that's the dynamic of the middle class. They just stay with their parents forever because if they go to the private sector, we have no jobs because the private sector have to pay these public servants, this army of public servants salary. And not only this, but we have a lot of problems with the government budget. It's very complex that theme for another video, but we have this problem of scarcity of jobs because we have armies of people studying to be public servants and not generate jobs and not making the economy grow. So when you get your high degree, you don't have good jobs. The economy works very slow here in Brazil, very slow because of this kind of incentive that already talked. So there is this way of being a public servant and studying for that, and there is this other way that's leaving the country. A lot of Brazilians are leaving the country to have a better life. They don't want to be a public servant to do a random job only because the stability and the salary. They don't want this kind of life. And Brazil has a lot of problems too, the violence and a lot of problems that I mentioned here. And they just leave the country and go to rich countries, work for the minimum wage to have a decent life, okay, the basic, okay. And the middle class too, sometimes the middle class can get good jobs, okay, in Brazil, because they are very few, but they exist, okay. Brazil is a huge country, a lot of opportunities, but they are very scarce, okay? So in rare situations, a middle class guy can make it in the economy and go like this and be very rich in the private sector, but it's very rare, okay? It's not an average guy that will make up, okay? That's the reality. And sometimes they work by themselves, okay, because it's a way out in Brazil that you can work by yourself, okay? You don't have jobs, but you can work for yourself. And in rare occasions, they can make up and like this and make a lot of money. But entrepreneur activity is not for everybody, okay? Because you too work by yourself, have a job, have a business, this kind of thing, and make up your way out in the private sector to just make a lot of money and be a high executive of a company and is not for everybody. You have to, it's not okay. You have to have a lot of skills in the communication and persuading and sales, and it's not for everybody. So I think in Brazil, the middle class is who suffers more, okay? The poor suffer a lot, okay, obviously. But at least the poor is born in an environment that they have the public health, the public schooling, that's normal for them, okay? It's not good, okay? But they go to the public sectors, okay? But the services, generally, there are good services, but the services in the public sector are very bad, most of times, okay? And the truth is the poor suffers a lot, but I think in the point of view of the frustration, who suffers more in Brazil is the middle class, because they try to have a life that their parents had when the things were not easy, but a lot easier than today, okay? Brazil was not easier, never. But their parents had a easier life. And they tried to replicate this life today, and Brazil made this went down, and they can't. They simply can't. And they stay to, as I said, study to be a public servant or leave the country, or being a frustrated high degree forever, and it's not a good life, okay? So that's it. If you like this information, please subscribe, tap the like button to motivate me, and subscribe and put your comment. How is this dynamic of the middle class in your country? I'm very curious to know, okay? Thank you and see you.